So we are here with Asa Prentice, an architect with BCV architectural firm of San Francisco. And this is a firm that has the peculiarity of having a lot of connections with the Italian architecture and Italian culture. And we see here in this image the first important project which the firm did. What is this project, Asa? Can you tell us?
Yeah, that's correct. This is one of the first major works that the firm completed, and it's a redevelopment of the San Francisco ferry terminal. And the building was historic and significant, but it had lost its place. It had lost its way to a certain extent. When the bridge was built connecting each side of the bay, the need for the ferry was vastly reduced. And so it fell into disuse and disrepair. And the firm was commissioned to reimagine and redevelop the interior arcade of this space, as well as some of the exterior, to bring new life and new shops to the hall. And it required extensive renovation to the interior space. However, it wasn't simply bring retail to the space. It was a very curated and very explicitly food-oriented design. And so only the highest quality local purveyors of food were asked to build shops here. And so that level of discretion led to a very successful project, and now it anchors the end of Market Street in San Francisco and has become one of the major tourist attractions on the water.
Very good. And Asa, you said earlier, if I'm not wrong, that Mr. Boldroff or some other partners in planning this object had some idea of connecting this building to the Milan Galleria.
That's right. They took a tour of significant markets throughout Europe, and the Galleria in Milan was a very significant precedent for them here, because it embodies, as one of the very first examples of this concept, how good retail architecture, the quality of space, quality of light, can allow a building such as this to be a successful retail environment for not just decades, but hundreds of years.
So it is an open space, but it's a covered space, as the Galleria is.
Yes.
Okay, this is a very important thing. And it shows the propension towards food. So your firm planned several restaurants and similar architectures. What is this, for instance?
That's correct. And so this is a dining room in a restaurant that we designed, and it's embodying how, if given the opportunity, our firm can design everything down to the carpet. Both the space, the furniture, the lighting, it's all designed to be creating a certain character and a sense of space. The project on the right is operating at a very small scale in a different context. The idea here is much more of an urban gesture, whereas fine dining on the left, we have street food on the right. But it's not your typical street food. It's a bus shelter that is designed to have a food cart pull out of it. And so it brings fresh produce, fresh vegetables and fruit to urban city dwellers, which in the United States is not as common a thing as it is here in Italy.
And this is really a new concept. Unfortunately, it was not built.
That's true.
But the idea, we
Maybe
can see something different here, that this was actually done, and it has something similar, no? Food on the street.
That's right. And so this temporary pavilion from an old shipping container, carved out of a shipping container, is intended to bring this, is part of this slow food festival here in the courtyard in front of San Francisco City Hall. It was done as a physical expression of the slow food concept, which is all about sustainability and being fresh and local. And so that's something that our firm feels very strongly about, and it's a key part of our sustainable approach.
Which is also typified by the windmill, which we see in the picture, which is done which was used to produce energy, no?
Yes, precisely so. But the concept of producing energy is just a small piece of sustainability, and so it's also about sustainable materials. On the left, we see a project that was done entirely with sustainable materials. It's the gift shop in the Natural History Museum in San Francisco that was designed by Renzo Piano. And then on the right-hand side, it's a winery in wine country in California that also embodies sustainable materials, but also a sustainably produced product. And so the concept being designing the life of the building to be sustainable, the product and the activities within the building to be sustainable, and the express approach of the architecture, top to bottom, is thinking about long-term issues.
And here we also find another point in common with Italy, where Italy is a big wine-producing country, and here we have that in California. Wine production and wine tasting has become very important. So when one thinks to California, one imagines the sea, the seashores, the ocean, but California has also mountains and snow, as we see here. And this is also a similarity with Italy. We have Alps and the sea.
Yes.
So where are we in this image?
So here in this image, you can see on the map, we're in Sugar Bowl, which is a ski resort near Lake Tahoe. It's about 3.5-hour driving from San Francisco. You can see on the very left, San Francisco, and then zooming in towards the site near Donner Lake. Its particular location has one of the highest snow loads in the country, and it was a key component, this pass over the mountains, of the Transcontinental Railroad. That's why there was originally development of a town here, and that eventually led to the highway being carved through here, and now this ski resort, which is one of the oldest in the United States. The house is on the mountain where the red dot is, on a mountain called Crow's Nest,
which is approximately 2,000 meters height,
yes,
more or less.
more or less. And the house is the highest on the hill of any others of the residential structures, and so we've designed the house in such a way as to be perched on the mountainside, and so we call it the Crow's Nest because of both the mountain name and the form of the house.
And when you say we, you mean you, because that's your personal plan. No?
True. We and the partners in charge and everything. But yes, I was involved with the initial design of the project and have been carrying out the expression of it through the construction now. And so the historic lodge at the resort here on the top right shows the traditional Tyrolean style that most buildings are.
It shows also the amount of snow which
yes.
can accumulate.
Yes, absolutely. So this is what we're designing for, and here we can see studies and houses by Carlo Molino, the Italian architect, who had a very interesting take on Alpine architecture. He took the traditional forms, reimagined them, reinterpreted them in a modern context without losing the sense of responsiveness that these buildings have to their climate. They need to respond to the climate because it's so extreme. And so that drives certain aspects of the form, but it does not mean it has to be a precise replica of a historic house.
Yes.
Similarly, the Bay Area modern tradition uses these same conceptual concepts to reinterpret traditional detail in their own environments. These are more coastal examples. The Palladian proportions was another aspect of Italian architecture that influenced the design. Here we can see Palladian villa plans overlaid on the plan of this house, and that defined the space, the shape and size of both the circulation and the geometry of the rooms themselves, giving a very pleasing proportion to each of the spaces.
And you are looking for those, for that pleasure of proportion also in your plan, which is this one.
Yes.
So architecture is proportion.
Yes.
Aesthetics is proportion.
Yes.
Now this is fundamentally a square plan.
Yes, down at the very ground level, the building tapers in because of the snow. So the idea is that the building is perched on this concrete plinth that gets you up above the snow. Some of the basic functions of the house are down at the ground level, but the main living happens on the second floor because in the winter the snow is at minimum 3 meters above the ground, and so the deck becomes the entry patio, and the main activity all happens there. The bedrooms are on the third floor, and you can see that on the right. And here we can see the house in the initial construction. You really get the sense of the nest of the roof, these radiating rafter beams as they fan out from the center of the house. And you can also see some of the structure behind how we've designed the support to carry this enormous weight of the snow as it accumulates.
We have a structure which is in steel, but the beams are...
The beams are glulam, and so the majority of them are laminated wood. At the valley where the loads are highest, those had to be steel. However, the expression, as you'll see, is one of a wood roof, and so the warmth and the natural tone of that wood color really strongly relates to the trees surrounding it. And so you feel when inside the house as if you're in a cathedral of trees.
Yes, because usually alpine houses have roofs planned in such a way that the snow slips away, whereas here you plan the roof done in such a way as to maintain the snow.
That's right. And so this is a newer way of thinking about energy in alpine construction. By carrying the load of the snow, it allows you to use the snow as insulation, and so it actually keeps the house warmer in the winter, even though it's snow.
Which means to use what nature provides us in order to defend us from nature itself. That's a very interesting concept. And it's also an interesting concept, a new concept for an alpine house built in California.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for telling us this about this plan, which is so interesting, so original. And let's see if we will ever able to have something like that also in our Alps. Thank you very much.
We would love to. Thank you very much.